Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. I'm so excited to see you all here today. The story I have for today is going to be a little bit dark. There are some content warnings. Please make sure to check those out in the description. I do hope you all enjoy it. And remember, if you would like to commission a story so that I can write you one just for yourself, those links are also in the description. For now, let's go ahead and read Destroying Himself, Piece by Piece. Sometimes, if the situation calls for it, inconveniencing myself a bit in order to help someone else in need is the right thing to do. Compromise. Logan could learn to compromise. Thomas needed him to be willing to choose the less productive option in order to help someone out. Helping out his friends was important to Thomas. Logan knew that. He could change. He could adjust. He could learn. He would do anything he needed to in order to keep his family. Anything to make sure Thomas was happy. Anything to make sure Patton was happy. Maybe they didn't see him in the same vein, but that was all right. He would change. He would grow. Everything would be okay. Face it, you're the least favorite side. Anxiety was right. At his core, he was far too strict. He was unrelatable. No one was going to listen to him if they didn't enjoy hearing him speak. He could change. He would become more likable. He would learn hip phrases, and he would make himself more cool. Logan's hands shook as he worked on his new flashcards. He was already attempting to be accommodating, and it wasn't working. He still wasn't being heard. They still didn't care about him. He just needed to keep changing, keep adapting. Anything he could do to be more likable. Anything he could do to make the others want him around. At least I'm not a bore and a snore times 4. Eyes. He wasn't a bore. He could be interesting. He was worth listening to. Logan's body shook as he walked around his room, looking through everything. What could he do to make them listen? To make them hear him? What could he do to not be left out again? He couldn't keep doing this. He couldn't keep being pushed to the side as his family continued on their way as they left him behind. He pushed his papers off his desk, looking for something, anything that would stop them from abandoning him. Sadly, this is a bench trial for you. Logan's room had gotten more and more chaotic. Books and papers tossed to the side as he desperately tried to work through the buzzing in his head. Maybe if he just found something, he would be able to get them to listen. He was logic. He could figure this out. He was sure of it. He just wanted to be heard, wanted to be cared about. He was fighting and fighting, but no one was listening. I've taken this form because I didn't want to be too invasive. That was okay. He loved his family. He had faith in his family. They would eventually listen. Eventually, they would hear him. Eventually, things would change. He just had to keep adapting. He just had to keep making himself into someone they would be willing to accept. Skip all. They weren't listening. They didn't care. Who do you really want to scream that at? Logan sat down on the floor of his room, chaos surrounding him as he closed his eyes. He had to keep working, had to keep fighting. He had changed and changed and changed. He had learned slang to be more popular, gotten rid of his onesie to seem more serious. He had changed the way he spoke to be more digestible, but nothing worked. Everything he tried put him back at the beginning. Logan had stripped himself of so much that had made him him. What more could he change? What more could he give away? What other pieces could he strip from his personality? You're nothing without your fancy words, logic. The last voice rang through his head, and Logan looked over to his desk. If he stopped talking, would they listen to him? If he took away that ability, would they finally understand that sometimes he needed to be listened to? He walked over to the desk, waving his hand as a sewing kit appeared. He couldn't trust himself to not speak. His words were his everything. It was the last of who he was, but maybe, just maybe, if he took away that part of himself, maybe they would finally notice. As he picked up the thread, he felt numb. I don't necessarily mind your company. The other two can bring in a whole lot of sunshine, and that can be unbearable. And I can't imagine having a debate with either one of them. As much as it pains me, sometimes when the heart wants change, you must listen to it. Is this appealing to you at all? Now, be sure to ask for Roman's help with the next game that you create. He wasn't perfect. He knew he wasn't, but that didn't mean he wasn't trying. He was trying to change, to improve, to be what they wanted and needed him to be. He just wanted his family to love him, and if this was the only way, he was willing to do what was needed. Skip all, skip all, skip all. The moment repeated itself over and over, each time Logan pushed the needle into his lips, the warm liquid sliding down his chin. If they didn't want to hear him speak, they wouldn't. He would do anything for his family. He would do anything for Thomas. Another day, Logan, I promise. It'll be a job for, tomorrow, Thomas, or day after, Thomas. This is just really important. He wasn't important, but maybe he could make himself be more valuable. Maybe he could take away enough of himself that he would fit into the little space they had made for him. Thank you all for listening. Again, that was Destroying Himself Piece by Piece. I know that was a sadder story, so make sure you take care of yourself. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.